1,004 miles in 24 hours on bikes that cost £300 or less. That's the longest day challenge. Hi, I'm Luke Brackenbury from BikeSocial. This is John McAvoy. John, thanks for coming over to talk to us.
No problem.
John's quite a familiar face in the motorcycle industry. Published author now, Michael Rutter biography.
Yes, I did. I've mentioned that for a while.
Have you not? Okay. Freelance journalist working mainly on fast bikes these days, PR for Batham's Racing, so in and around the paddock, race tracks, roads, launches, so very busy man, well-travelled man.
Been around.
And the bikes. Apart from that, you were also involved with the longest day challenge, which is what we're talking about. John, explain that in your own words.
Yeah, so it's a funny one. It's just something. It sounds real cliche, but it was back in late 2011, early 2012. There was a small group of us on a motorcycle forum who just had this daft idea to do something silly, which at the time was actually to ride from John O'Groats down to the Land's End and do like on cheap bikes basically. And it was kind of around the time that Top Gear were kind of doing all that sort of stuff, and I think that was a little bit behind the thinking of it. And as is the way with a group of people, we all wanted to do it but never got around to doing it. And I think when there's a group of people, you sort of egg each other on, and you sort of have this I've said I've done it, I've kind of got to do it now type thing. So we went and did it on the longest day in 2012. That was the first one, and there wasn't many of us. Probably looking back, there was probably only about a dozen maybe who did it, if that. And it was amazing. And when we kind of finished, I found I had such a brilliant time at it. It just affected me really positively, and I kind of couldn't leave it there. Okay. And so I kind of decided, well, there's got to be other people out there who'd quite like to do this, and so I kind of decided to kind of carry on really, and put it out there that if anyone fancied copying it, or doing that same challenge, because I think we were a bit surprised at how much support it got. We're raising money for cancer research at the same time.
How much did you raise in that first year?
I think we raised about 10 or 11 grand.
It
was a lot. I mean, and that's I think the point. It made us kind of go, wow, this is really good. There's something here, So and here we are, about to go off on number 9. Number 9. Yeah.
So this time, it's been longest day down, longest day up. So we're going longest day up.
We're going up, yeah. So one of the things that was a problem, I suppose, as the numbers grew of people who wanted to do it, was being blunt. When there's nothing at Land's End, literally nothing. There's a car park there, and so these guys were kind of doing 24 hours in the saddle, nearly 1,000 miles, having been a really, really long, hard day riding. Getting to Land's End after anywhere between 18 and 24 hours non-stop riding, and then having to turn around and ride back, 5 or 6 miles up the road for somewhere to stay, and it was just like heartbreaking, really. So the accommodation and the facilities up at John O'Groats are like completely the opposite. It's a holiday resort. So the solution really was just to flip it. So we went longest day up.
And the ride raises money for cancer research. Why is that the nominated charity?
It's a good question. It probably goes back to the very first running of it. At the time, one of the guys in the group had recovered from cancer. He'd been through it and had recovered, and I think the sort of circle of friends that were around him suggested we should do it for cancer research, because he'd had obviously he'd survived. Sadly, he came back anyway, and he's no longer with us, so he didn't survive it a second time. But we remember him every year as one of the sort of original guys. So it was kind of that really. One of the first guys that did it was a survivor.
And I'm involved with the ride this year, and there's so many different reasons why people are involved, and we've lost people who were meant to be in the ride this year from cancer, and there's people affected by it. I know people just diagnosed since we started this, and people recovering, people just going into a pretty awful thing.
It's a massive thing, and until you really sort of start looking into it, I think when what always gets me every year is you meet everyone at the start line, and you never actually meet these people until everyone congregates at Land's End on the day before, so on the 20th. And what's interesting, you meet these people for the first time, you start talking to them, finding out about them, and more often than not, they've got things on their bikes. It's kind of some sort of references or pictures of people, or names of someone who they're riding for, and you realise, wow, it's we're all touched by it in some way or another, motivated by it.
It's as a sort of community motorcycling, that's what I love about motorcycling. I've known you for a long time, and so many people. It's a small industry, isn't it? Motorcycling, and even outside of people working in it, you nod and that, and when there's charity rides such as this or air ambulance, people really get behind. And what I don't know, apart from you organise it, but I don't know anybody else on that. But I feel it's one of those things where people are telling their stories. We'll go on to why it's £300 bikes, but there's the bikes they're building or riding or preparing, but also the reasons why they're doing it, and the support and help and advice for each other, and the stories that we're hearing about, like I say, the motivations why people are doing it are incredible. And I think it's one of those things you'll make sort of friends for life. You told me it'd be an experience for life, but yes, again, what I love about motorcycling. But it's not just those riding as well; it's the people that make this happen, not just yourself or the volunteers.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that help on the day and in the lead up to it. We've got on the day there's pit stops that you guys have to go through and check in and out of, and they serve several purposes. Primarily, it's a chance for us to get an idea where everyone is on the road, because we're in support in a broom wagon at the back. So that helps us with whether or not we can take a shortcut and try and catch up and just be close to the action, but not in the middle of it. So you got that, and the other thing is it's a chance for you guys to get off the bikes, and the people who run the pit stops will have some food there for you, and some bits and pieces, some tools, and
it's like military planning.
It is, and
those final instructions come through that.
There's a lot that goes into it, and then of course there's people in the background. We've got a guy who helps with all our social media. There's a guy who on the day, he's in the WhatsApp group, so he picks up all that stuff, and he takes the day off work, and he'll sit up all day and all night and just churn that stuff out and keep the story as live as we can on the various channels. And then obviously we've got a guy who runs a website for us, and a guy who does all our graphics and design, because I can't do any of that stuff. So, but that's the thing, and these are all people who in the past have done it as well. So they're not just they're all people who've done what you're about to do, and then have gone, I don't want to do that again. Not because it was good or anything like that. It's just but I still want to help. And so let me do a pit stop, let me drive a van, let me do your graphics for the stickers. We've got the guy who made our stickers this year, was a previous guy.
No, it's crazy. So getting back to it, it's £300 or less bikes, which you've got to bite for that. It's more like you haven't got to prove it, it's in the spirit. But how did that come about? Because that is punishment. That is just like
that is and in fairness, it's probably due. It's probably due for review, but at the same time, I honestly, the answer is I don't know. It was just a number that someone put on the table, and it was just like, I think we decided that was a sufficiently difficult challenge, because we want to make it a two-part challenge. One is getting the bike, preparing it, getting it ready, and through an MOT, and then the other part is the ride itself on the day. So it was kind of, I think you started kicking numbers around. You say, well, £1,000 per bike. Well, actually, you can get something decent for that. That's kind of not as big a challenge as £300, but I think nowadays, if I'm being perfectly honest, if you look around, most of the bikes probably aren't £300, but they're certainly, as long as it makes you sort of suck air through your teeth and go, I don't know if that's going to make it. I think that's kind of. I think,
sort of going on to the WhatsApp group, there's a lot of that going
on.
A lot. This was, so I'm riding this year 2000 Suzuki AN 400X Bergman. Which I genuinely paid £300 for it. It was sat under a tree for 4 years. I was told it was an immobiliser problem. It's got no immobiliser.
I haven't got one.
No. But it didn't run. The car looked like it had gone down with the Titanic, and the generator was, all the wires were torn. So I've had, I prepared it because I was going to do it last year.
Yes, that's right, you were,
I prepared it, and it's been fun, and you just see that the little tips that everyone's giving each other, like buy these cheap eBay spot lamps, you want more light, because everyone's on old bikes with really
rubbish headlights,
like the throttle grip things. It's sort of shared knowledge coming through. It's great, but the £300 thing, because people are like, that's not that, and I think no one's going to get kicked off for that.
No. And in fact, there is a booby price for someone who turns up on a bike that obviously isn't 300 quid and is obviously going to make it, you know.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a little bit of an element of jeopardy in the day,
Yeah,
you know, just to make that achievement. If you're going to do it once, do it with some real jeopardy involved as well. So is the bike going to make it?
That's the thing. That is the thing about it. I suppose like 1,000 miles is hard enough. And I think my biggest mile trip has been 750 miles, and that was on a brand new KTM GT.
Right,
so it's like
easy.
Yeah, cruise control,
Yeah,
easy, all that
yeah,
sort of stuff.
yeah.
You know, big tank. And I think that factor, you know, that is the other worrying thing. You know, I'm like, okay, directions or sat nav or
navigate, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I'm going to do it. But then it's like, is the bike going to make it?
Yeah.
I think that's stressing me out the most. I've done everything you can, but because everyone's been so generous. We were just talking before off camera about that, how, I don't know, like you've hit a magic formula, but the people, the motorcycling community, the donations have been crazy this year.
It's been mad, yeah, no, and it's not just the donations; it's the people like the guys who've sort of, you know, done your rap for you and all the rest of it.
Get involved.
There's something about the event, and not just the ride on the day, you know. Although I think that it strikes a big chord, because I think most people who are into bikes at some point have thought, I'd love to do Land's End to John O'Groats.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if we're all honest, deep down inside, we all like the idea of doing it on something a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
As well, and that makes it a little bit more of an adventure. But I think as well, you know, people are generous, and that's the thing. People want to do this, and people want to support it, and people who can't do it want to get in behind those who do it. And I think you're right. It's something that is, yeah, one of the hallmarks of the motorcycling community, I think.
Yeah, I've been blown away by the sport and seeing the grand total for all the 35 riders.
Massive, isn't it, this year?
I mean, before this year, it was, 150-something thousand?
It's 153,000 in total for the first 8 years. So this is year 9, so not including this year. And I think we're on, well, including gift aid this year, we're on just about £50,000, which is just, how did that happen?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's ridiculous. But, you know, it's also a really nice reminder that, as if we need it, really, people are good. Fundamentally, people are good, and it's easy to forget that sometimes.
For some reason, it strikes a chord with people. Obviously, cancer's, you know, it's. I don't think you can find anyone who's not been affected by that somehow. And I think it's the mixture of the enormity of the ride, the stupidity of the budget and the bikes, and the cause that it's going for. And it's, I'm
probably worth mentioning. The 300 quid doesn't include the cost of new tyres, brakes,
yes, of course,
chain or MOT or all those safety things.
Yeah.
We don't include those in the budget.
And it's not a race, of course.
And it's absolutely not a race, no.
No, it's super organised. Obviously, we've had the finance structure. So for people who want to get involved with this in future years, either from riding and taking part, you cap the numbers.
Yes. Yeah.
That's because of about the support.
It's about how much support. When all said and done, we're just all volunteers ourselves. I've got a day job. I've got day jobs. You've got a day job, and there's only so much you can realistically do. And I think there's also an argument for, if you went really big on it one year and got a massive sponsor and major TV coverage and all the rest of it, and you could line up 200 riders to do it.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a good argument for it. From cancer researchers' point of view, they would probably prefer to see us raise, let's say £20,000 to £30,000 a year every year for the next 10 years, rather than one big massive event and then that's it, done. Yeah. So I think there's a bit of that as well.
Yeah, I like the exclusivity part of it, but I think, like you said, other people who've done the ride have stayed involved, and I can see how I've been swept up, and I nearly pulled out of it because I've had a bit of a struggle on my hands at the start of this year. It's been a bit of a battle. We've all had battles, but I can see now how people stay involved, and
it hooks you in. It hooks you in. I mean, listen, we're sat here now. What day is it today? It's
Wednesday.
So it's 4 days. You're setting off, and it's 3 days, 3-4 days. We'll be going. So we're nearly there, and I'm sitting here thinking, I've got 1,000 things I need to be doing with my job and my family and all of this stuff, and I wouldn't go as far as to say as I could really do without this, but it's kind of like 3 days out and I'm still not really fully 100% onto this. But when we get in the van, when me and my missus get in the van on Saturday and start heading down there to meet you all and get there in front, and you get into that bubble for 3 days, I tell you, it's a real good place. And when you come out of it, you kind of don't want to. You know, when you're at John O'Groats, no one really wants to go
I don't
home.
want to. I mean, like, I'm going into craziness. It's first round of BSB.
We got BSB, haven't we? Yeah, we're both straight to BSB when we get back.
I've got ABR festival, so I go to ABR, then BSB, maybe between the two. But like you said, it's that there's always stuff to do, isn't it? I'm like, okay, I took this morning off to just get a bit of packing done, and I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it in equal measure. But like you said, once you get in that bubble, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it will be.
Cool. So if people want to get involved and donate, or maybe look at signing up for next year or helping, how do they do that?
Good question. So there's a few ways that can be done. If you go, the website is probably the best place to go to. It's called thelongestdaychallenge.com.
Sure about that?
No.
We'll put it on the screen anyway.
We'll put it on the screen. There's obviously the social media pages. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, but on those pages is the riders and the link to the giving pages. We use the giving page we use is a cancer research one. Yeah. And on that is all the riders. So it's kind of like a team. They kind of set you up as a team, and so all 34 riders are on there. Pick a rider, and pick a rider and chuck some money at them. And if you want to get in touch and help next year or take part next year, there's a message button on there.
Are you calling a sweepstake? Is that something I didn't know about? Bet on your rider. Who's
bet on your rider.
It's not a race.
It's definitely not a race. No. And actually on that, it's a different route each year.
Yeah.
I change the route every year. We've never done the same route twice. And
you've got a ferry crossing on this.
There's a ferry crossing on this one, yeah. So yeah, it's I think it's important to do that, mainly to sort of stop people trying to find out what time the first guy got in last year and trying to beat it. It just cuts all that out.
Genuinely, I'm actually quite nervous about this, and I think it's because of the old bike and how far it is and that mental challenge and exhaustion, whatever. And you've given good guidance to all the riders how to prep, and everyone's shared knowledge. But I think I think it's because it is a big challenge. My father actually said to me, all the things you've done on bikes, why is this bothering you? It's not, I'm like,
you've done plenty on bikes. You're you're experienced. You know what you're doing. Why is this?
It's just riding, and
it's outside your comfort zone, isn't it?
It's strange, but I think that's good. I think it's good to sort of push yourself and like you say, raising a lot of money at the same time. It's even better. So
I think as well. Let's be honest. We're very lucky. We get to play around on cool bikes and go to cool places and all the rest of it. But I think the sort of common sort of feeling that most people get at the end of it is that, this is kind of where it all started for us when we were kids. Yeah. Pretty basic, cheap hacks held together by sort of hopes and dreams and cable ties, weren't they? And that's how we all started. And I think there's something a little bit romantic almost about going back to your roots
against
almost.
The odds.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, it's amazing what it's not just you, I know, but you put so much time and effort into it, keeping it organised, and it's well planned, and it's as safe as it can be, and so it's great. And again, the money it's raising and has raised is massive. So it's great that there's people like you doing this, and get involved with it. Follow the progress this year. It's hopefully happening every year. It needs volunteers to keep it going. It needs motorcyclists to keep the passion alive. But yeah, I guess I have to do a follow-up after this. Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
there's nothing left to do now except get on there. If I could just quickly say on that point, big obviously kudos to all the riders who are doing it this year and every year and has done it and raised the money. But really, the volunteers, there's as many volunteers on the day. There must be 20, maybe even 40 altogether on the day who you'll never see. You won't see half of them, but they're there working away in the background. And, a huge, big shout out to those guys. They're superstars.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, John.
No, you're welcome.
I'll be seeing you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, pray for sunshine.
Brilliant. The Brackenbergman, she's good for it.
Go get him.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, John.
Yeah, no problem.
Keep going. Yeah.
You're going to sit with your bike. What sort of dog is this?
He's a Chihuahua Yorkshire Terrier cross.